Most people really struggle to rely on their intuition, but did you know that you can actually use your intuition in a very systematic way to determine the right decision for you to make in any circumstance? If you are struggling between two decisions and you don't really know which way to go, you can actually use manifestation techniques to help you decide which decision to make. And here's how you do it. What you do is you create a reverse memory for both decisions. A reverse memory is an event that occurs in your imagination before it's actually happened. So say for example that you are trying to decide which job to take. One of them is in one location, another job is in a different location. What you do first of all is you take location number one and you imagine yourself living in that place, going to that job. You imagine yourself being happy, going through the process of living your life, and then you repeat that again with the second location and the second job. And I encourage you to write these down. This technique is called scripting, and it involves writing down the details as if you have already received your manifestation. Once you've written down both scenarios in great detail, really look at them both and take some time to really think it through. Over the next few days, what is going to happen is you will notice that when your brain is idle, you will naturally start to imagine yourself in one of the two scenarios a lot more frequently. And the one that you imagine much more frequently is probably the one that you actually want to choose, because the scenario that you favour is probably the one that you keep coming back to more often in your imagination. Also notice if you are imagining them both in your imagination, which one feels better for you, which one are you enjoying the most. This is probably the one that you want to go with, because you are imagining a better scenario that is naturally going to manifest in the future. But what happens if you've got two scenarios and you've gone through this process and you really still have no clue? You really don't know which one is going to be the best option. I had a scenario like this myself very recently. We had to apply for a high school place for my daughter a few months ago. Now there are 3 high schools in my town to choose from, and there are a couple outside of town as well. And on the application form you've got a space for 3 options, and you've got to choose your order of preference. Very quickly I decided that I didn't want my daughter or myself to travel out of town, so that left me to some of the 3 options in the actual town. One of the options was not desirable in the slightest. I didn't want my daughter to go there at all, and 2 of the options were what I considered to be good high schools, and I would have been happy with either. So I couldn't decide. We couldn't decide between the 3 of us. We went to visit both schools and we liked them both for different reasons. One of them had better grades overall. There were many positive things that we liked about it, but the building was kind of run down. And the other good high school had a brand new building but didn't have a lot of the other positives, but it was still classed as a good school. So we were happy with either of these 2 options. So we decided to put the 2 better high schools down on the application and not put a 3rd option at all. I imagined both scenarios in my own imagination. I asked my daughter what her preferences were, but really we didn't have any way of really predicting the future and really knowing which one was going to be the best option. So what we decided to do was we are going to leave it in God's hands. And what we did was we simply prayed and imagined that our daughter went to the school that was right for her. I imagined a conversation where she was telling me how happy she was in the high school, how safe she felt, how much she enjoyed it, how nice her teachers were, how well she was doing. I imagined her teachers praising her, complimenting her. I imagined the process of getting to school being easy. So we did this and we knew that the right thing would happen, but we still had to decide what order to put the high schools down on the application. So we decided that we were going to put the brand new high school at position number 1 and the other high school at position number 2. And what actually materialized was that my daughter was offered a place at high school number 2, which was the school that didn't have the brand new building, that had the older building, but had a lot of positives. And we were actually a little surprised because we assumed that we were going to get our first option because we told that that was going to be likely, but we got our second option. And you could say, well, that's a failed manifestation, but we manifested that we would get the right option for my daughter. And I do believe that that's exactly what happened. I do believe that whenever we have decisions to make, that just assume that you will be in the right place at the right time, that everything will be working out in your favor exactly as it should be, and this is exactly what will happen. So I just believe that if you've got a decision to make, just simply make a decision and then just trust that everything will unfold exactly as it should do. All decisions can be reversed. Nothing can be fixed. We did have the option to appeal this decision, but we decided not to because we thought, we just trusted the process and thought, well, we weren't sure, so this is what's happened, we'll just go with it. I feel very grateful that we had a choice of 2 good schools and got into one of them. Let me know in the comments, have you ever used manifestation techniques to make a decision? Have you ever used your intuition? Do you trust your own intuition? Let me know, and while you're there, please like this video, subscribe, grab my free manifestation milestones board pack in the comment below, and now it's your turn to go and put your stamp on the world.